Well, hello and welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very, very much for being here. I just have to do something. I've been struggling recently with, whilst I'm streaming, the streaming software in YouTube that tells me whether everything's okay or not is not working. So, last time this happened, I just refreshed it and it started working okay. It looks like the chat's working okay today, which is refreshing. Let's see. We'll just give that a little restart there, see what happens. Okay, so welcome to Jamie TV. Nice to see some people in the chat. Let's say hello to a few people. Hello, Jade. Thanks for being here, Jade. Hello, Mick. Hi, Bo. And I can't scroll up the chat now. I've put that. Hang on. Mateus, welcome. Thank you very much for your messages. There's some really, really helpful information in there for me to get my head around, and I really, really appreciate the effort. Hi, Grant. Hope you're feeling better following your operation. DJ, thanks for being here, and thanks very much for the super chat. That's very much appreciated. You're a wonderful human being, because we are a bit skint here at the moment. It's been a bit of a difficult time from a sort of, financial point of view. And Mr. S.M. Borthwick, thanks for joining us, dude. Thank you. All right, so we have some people here. I have some awesome software to show you. And I'm going to put that mouse over there. This is the mouse for my computer, right? And I like to put it way out of my way for two reasons. One is, first of all, if I accidentally catch it, it might press something and screw up the stream. And the other thing is I have an identical mouse that I use for my iPad. So I always grab hold of the wrong one. So if I put it right over there, next to the zombie guy over there. Can we see the zombie guy over there? We can not see the zombie guy over there. He's just out of shot. Oh no, he is. He's there. There he is. It's from my House of the Dead game, because I do love shooting zombies. Right, now, the reason we are gathered here today, because as I've been talking about quite a bit recently, I'm kind of moving away from doing videos and streams that are just about an app, right? There are other people who do that, who already have a good following and do a great job of it. And there's no need for me to kind of be doing the same thing. I probably will still do some that really take my fancy, sizzle my sausage. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again, but I want to do more streams that are about actually making music. So the idea is I'll be making some music, and I'll be showing the apps. You'll hear the apps, and I'll talk about what they do as I go along, but not specifically streams about new apps all the time. So that's kind of my process, but I really wanted to do this because this one is special, and I just felt that there was quite a lot to say about it. It's one of those apps that could very easily kind of go under the radar and may not be the easiest one to get to grips with. So I've had a good look at it, a good pissy pants around with it. I've even tried my very best to read the manual. I'm excited about doing this one. It might not sound like the coolest kind of app, but it really is absolutely awesome. So we'll get stuck into that in a moment. But there's something else I really wanted to... Oh, yeah. Right. So what I should say is, I did say that today I was probably going to continue with my streams about basically pissy panting around with the Mogafoga apps. I've had an idea about how I want to proceed with that. And it's something I'm working on, and you will see that emerge probably next week, I think. I really enjoyed arsing around with them, so yeah, there's more to come from that. What I'm thinking I'm probably going to do, this is an idea I was kind of laid awake thinking about last night. You know, like when you're really, really tired, when you're really shattered, and you have a brilliant idea, and it just goes round and round in your brain and keeps you awake. And so I'm a bit shattered today. I'm also hungry. I forgot to eat. But anyway, I'll just go and smash the kitchen up after this, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some streams about how to make music that is spooky, right? Because it's that time of year, and for some reason I'm kind of really, really excited about the Halloween stuff this year. I always enjoy it, but this year I'm particularly into it, and so I think because it's an interesting thing, it's kind of a slightly different approach to making music, how you make those sounds that are spooky and menacing, and so I think I'd like to do some streams showing off that technique. Maybe I'll do a few and make a piece of music as I go along. That's kind of my thought process. So in the chat right away, if you think that's a good idea and that's something you'd be interested in, then, you know, give me a thumbs up or say like awesome dude or something like that. And if you think it's a totally sucky idea, just put something like, you know, you've gone mental dude or something like that, you know. That would be most agreeable. I don't care. You will not upset me. Right, so that's kind of what's going on in my head. My software is telling me that there are more viewers than there are people in the chat. So if you're lurking, right, don't be shy. Just jump in the chat and say hello so that I can greet you. You know, like a sort of a polite and sensible hippie. What am I doing? Oh yeah, right. So this app. Let's have it on screen. There. Right. So this app. I'm not sure whether it's Woodvalvet or Woodvalvet or Woodvalvet. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. And to be honest, I don't really care. The only thing I care about is the fact that it's quite brilliant. So what I wanted to do was, I like to open the stream with a bit of music. So I thought, well, I'll have a few bars of music looping round. I'll play some guitar over it. Now, every instrument that you were hearing in that introduction there has got Woodvalvet on it. And I've got 10 instances of it in AUM. I'll show you those individual instruments momentarily. But something that's gone out of my head. I wanted to open the stream with some playing, and I really wanted to show you that piano sound, although I'm kind of really pretty sucky on the keyboard. But I've made a great sounds of controls to those valves to make them function in different ways. And you could do different things to the valves to make them do exciting and interesting creative things. And imagine if it were possible at the press of a button to switch the valve out for a different kind of valve. This is a magic app. So saturation is something that we normally think of as being quite a simple application or pedal or front end of a guitar amp. It's something that we use to kind of dirty the sound and also kind of soften the sound, and we can add some harmonic richness to the sound too. We can do all kinds of things with this app. So first thing I'll do is I will just go through each instrument in this project, and I'll solo each one, and I'll play each one without the effect and then with the effect. And another little common theme in this project is that what I've done is I think I'm right in saying that for each sound, all I have is the incoming instrument. I have I have Woodvalvet applying saturation to it, and then I have Audio Kit's reverb on it, and that's it. Because recently, I mean, when I got that reverb from Audio Kit, which I think it was free, wasn't it? It was either free or like stupidly cheap. And And I thought, immediately I thought, well, it's a great reverb, for nothing. Amazing. But recently, it's kind of, I keep using it, and it's really, every time I use it, I'm more and more impressed with it. It's like simplicity itself, but it just sounds gorgeous. So that's the common theme for this project. You will see I have got Woodvalvet and AudioKit's reverb. Lots of instances of both. Oh, and I've got one Moga in there. That's the delay. Right. So let's do this. So I'm using Hammerhead, but I'm using the multibus out. But if I just press play, if I solo this Hammerhead, I think this will work. And just bring it up. This should be the stereo mix of Hammerhead. So that's no effects applied. Right? Now it's a cool drum machine. It's on the Lindrum sound, which I adore, but it does sound kind of what's the word? Basic. It needs stuff doing to it. Okay, so that's the kit sound overall. Oops. I'm going to come back to the piano because I'm really proud of that one. Let's do some other things first. Right, so here is King of Bass. Take the effects off. I should have done that first, if I knew what I was doing. Right, so that's... Oh, Gerald, thanks for joining us, dude. Hope you're well today, man. Right, so that's the sound I've got coming from King of Bass. Then I add Woodvalvet on. I'll go into the specifics of how I've made the sounds that I've made later. Let's just hear some... give you some idea of what it can do. Alright, let's stick the reverb back on. Right, so that sounds pretty awesome. And yeah, I know I never ever used to add reverb to basses or kick drums, but I've done both in this project. I wanted something that just sounded really dark and filthy and, kind of like a sort of a brooding sound. Right, so there's my kick drum. Without the effects. Woodvalvet. Reverb. Right, so that's a pretty drastic one. And I'm really proud of that sound. I really like that one. Now let's try and do this the sensible way around this time. There's my snare. Okay. Woodvalvet. Reverb. Right, now I think this is going to be the hi-hat. Let's take those off. Solo this. Right, so just plain basic hi-hat. Woodvalvet on it. Just softened it up nicely. Reverb. Makes it sound real distant. Gives it a different place in the whole audio spectrum. Right, now we've got a tom here, I believe. Only happens once a bar, so wait for it. Woodvalvet on it. And some reverb. Right, and then we'll do the same thing with this conga sound. That's pan to the other side. You'll be hearing that if you're listening on decent speakers or some headphones. Stick this on it. There. Right, now here I've got a sidechain set up. So I've got Woodvalvet on this sound from Tal. If I take that off and solo this. Right? So I adore Tal. I love it. So it's just, it's just I think it's like strings sound number 3 I'm using here. Done nothing to it apart from turn the reverb up. Alright, now if I stick this on it, you'll hear... Oh, actually no, I'll show you this first, right? So here, I've got Bliss Sidekick. I often use this for sidechaining purposes when it's something like I don't want to actually hear the sound that the app I'm using for sidechaining is making. I just want to make something move. So you'll see here I've got 4 kicks in Bliss Sidekick, which we're not hearing. Now every time one of those kicks happens, this multibus out instance of Woodvalvet sends that information to this instance of Woodvalvet and makes it do stuff, which makes it do this. Yeah, I know. That's right good, isn't it? I'm just so pleased with that. It's awesome. It's exactly the kind of thing that I wanted. I had this idea in my head, and I thought, I wonder if I could make it do that. And it took me seconds. Brilliant. Okay, so this is the guitar track. We're going to come back to that. So if I I'll just press stop, take this solo off, and I'll scoot back over to the start here. Right, now, you have to forgive my piano playing. I am not a piano player. Now, have I got a view where I can do iPad and overhead view? No, I haven't. Right, so maybe I could do side cam. Ooh, right, okay, that could work. Just so that you can see I'm playing a bit of piano, right? And let's just open up. Oh, yeah, I'll show you this, right? So, I'm going to take these effects off. Right, so here is House Mark 1. Audio Kit's beautiful piano, which I've kind of pretty much switched everything off in it. So all we've got is a basic piano sound. Hang on a minute. What's going on there? Oh, I know what's going on there. I've mapped my controller to the wrong thing. Oh god, okay, right, so iRig keys should be mapped to House Mark 1 and not, I can't see the bottom of the grid. How do we change that? Oh, I know, right, so I'll just go over here. Excuse me while I just correct my fuck up. Sorry about that. Talk amongst yourselves. So, let's see. A topic for discussion while I fix this. If you were going to make a spooky soundtrack, right? If you were making some music for like a sort of a Halloween type film. Oh, and by the way, if you're into that kind of film, don't watch the new Scream film. It's fucking terrible. Awful, just embarrassing. The intelligence that they credit the viewer with not having is just, it's appalling, man. Anyway, yes, so if you were going to make a soundtrack to that kind of film, something really menacing and creepy, what would you use, right? What musical devices would you use? And what instruments might you choose? What makes a classic horror theme classic? That's my question for you. Go. Right, so, yes, if I go here and go to MIDI inputs, I've got chord bud on there, and I want to take iRig keys off, and now I should just have, there we are. Yes. There's a fine line between stupid and genius. Right, so, this is the piano sound. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Right, so I've switched everything off. I've got no tremolo, no phaser, no reverb, no panning, no anything. All the things that make this app sound particularly awesome, I've switched them all off. But what we have still got is we've got that electric piano quality. So if I play a key nice and soft, or if I twat it, what I've done is I've used Woodvalvet to exaggerate those things. So it introduces some distortion and it exaggerates the dynamics. That's the word. Clever hippie. Okay. It exaggerates the dynamics. But it also does this wobble effect. Wouldn't it be great if I could demonstrate, if I could play piano right well and demonstrate that really good? But obviously I can't. Alright. So it's doing this wobble thing, and that's something that you can set up in advanced settings with the well, I'll show you. I'm going to show you in a bit. Yeah, we'll not get into it now. I'll show you in a bit. Right? I added this Mogafoga delay to it. And then I just stuck this reverb on it. Right? So whilst I might not be known for my epic sound design or anything, I'm really, really happy with that. And it was all made possible by this app. So I think what I'll do, I think I'll pick up my guitar and we'll get, and I'll just get an instance of this open and we'll take a look at it. Right, so I'm going to, we've got some replies. Okay, so you guys, my musical advisors, if you were going to make a spooky soundtrack, Matthias would use an EBO with a guitar. I love playing with it since I got it recently. Yes, I don't actually own an EBO. I've used one. I've never actually owned one of my own. That's an interesting thing. I mean, at my age, and I've never actually owned an EBO. What a tosser. But yeah, that's a really, really good idea. Mick says Black Hole will definitely be in there somewhere. Of course. It's just one of those reverbs. It sounds, it sounds cinematic is what it sounds. DJ says modular synth, coma field kit, and lots of coffee. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot to make myself coffee before I started the stream because I'm a knobhead. Matthias also says noises, Alteza, strange noises and some audio effects, scream samples. Yes. You know, when it comes to samples like that, I always think I'd really like to make my own. But how do you get samples of people screaming? You just kind of, get your tape recorder ready and then just run down the street and frighten the fuck out of somebody and record it. And, is it? I don't know. I don't know how to go about that. And Synthmaster Bomb. Yes. Gerald says, if I'm going for sound regarding a genre or style, for me, it would work best with a little with when a title conjures up an idea, something like The Vampire Ballet. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Oh, Semtex is here. Dude. Thank you for commenting my videos a lot recently. Thank you, sir. That really, really helps, because it's really nice when people super chat. It does really help, and it's nice when main thing is just to have people here when I stream, just to have someone to talk to. It's good, but also it's nice when people comment and get involved. It's nice to have the conversation, to build a relationship with people, to make friends. You never have too many of those, and also it really helps the algorithm. So I do really appreciate it when people kind of get stuck in and comment, even if it's a criticism. Even if you just want to call me a knobhead, I'm good with that. I don't care. Catching scream noises would be a fun stream. I'd watch that. Yes. The Isolation Loop sample pack from Heimbach is pretty good for spooky ambient, cheap as chips too. I don't have that. I've got quite a few apps that Heimbach was involved in. Particularly like things he's been doing with the audio thing, and I'm definitely going to be checking out the new one. If someone helps me, it's just manners to say so. Oh, no. Well, that's what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for, my friend. I do need to get a coffee machine in the studio. That would be epic, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be cool. If you put zombie noises through effects, there's no way to get any claims. Ooh. Do you know what? I am a massive, massive zombie movie fan, and I love The Walking Dead. I'm re-watching it at the moment for about the third time, although I have to keep breaking off to watch, new Star Wars and Marvel things. But I'm kind of halfway through the whole thing again. I wonder if you could sample zombie sounds from that, and if they were affected, changed in some way. I wonder if that's okay, or if you could just get away with it. Or maybe I could just get my kids to make zombie sounds. Maybe we could do that. Okay, anyway, right. So we're supposed to be looking at an appy, and I'm just sat here talking bollocks. Right, I'm going to get my guitar. Now, I was doing quite a few bends in that little improv in the intro. I realised when I came to play the guitar over the intro, I realised that what I'd done was I'd chosen some chords that are not that just don't have any relationship to each other. They weren't in an obvious key together. So I was kind of struggling with what notes can I use here? The nice thing about playing a lot of bends is, if you're bending a note and you realise, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to hit a bummer with that one, you can just bend it further. Just bend it until you hit a good note. Only illegal if you get caught. Take all the electronic devices off your kids and record their reaction. Yeah, they might actually kill me. If you like gothic films, have a look for a film called Brotherhood of the Wolf. Brotherhood of the Wolf. True story. I made a rather long piece of music for a film soundtrack quite a few years ago now. It's quite a long time ago. It was a film that was going to be called The Hairy Claw of Grafton Moor, and it was an animated horror movie And I'm just trying to remember something about it now. It was independently done, so everyone involved in it was not being paid. Everyone was going to receive royalties for it. Unfortunately, it never got released, and although I haven't seen the film in its entirety, I think it was going to be good, you know. But of course, I submitted this music for it, and then it hasn't been released, but the music is tied in with the film, so I can't release the music, you know, just like as a Jamie track, you know. So, shame. Maybe one day it'll see the light of day. Maybe one day they might just go, you know what, we're never going to get this released. It's not going to happen. We'll just put it on YouTube. You know, it'd be nice for people to see it. We're supposed to be having like a screening of it at some point. That never happened. Anyway, I'm sure that was vaguely relevant in some way, but I'm not sure how. Right, I'll take the reverb off, because although the reverb makes it sound better, you know, I want you to hear this app. So if I just take off my, just take Woodvalvet off for a moment, and so there's the sound of my Telecaster on the bridge pickup, just straight into AUM. That's the riff from one of my recent releases that I can't remember the name of, Cybernetic Gods. But I can't play it properly because it was recorded on a guitar that had... What did it have? I was in E flat, but both E strings were tuned down a tone. So the riff was kind of specific to that tuning. So I can only play part of it. Right. Okay. Focus, Jamie. Stay on target. Right, so that's my Telecaster just raw. And should I get a different view going on here? Because I don't think you really need the side. I think you really need the side cam. Actually, maybe you do. I'm probably going to keep forgetting to use it. I'll leave it like that. I just like pressing buttons, you know. Okay, so we'll put Woodvalvet back on. Now, what I'm going to do before I play anything else, I'm going to just kind of... Is there an initialized preset? There are some factory presets here. There's not like an initialized preset, so I'll just go with one that's quite simplistic, and then I'm going to further simplify the settings. That's okay there. Switch that off. Right. And I think I'll need to go into advanced settings and just make sure there's nothing drastic going on in there. No. Yeah, that's off. Okay. Right. So now if I play, sounds more or less clean. Right, so across the middle we've got 3 valves, and we can switch these valves out for different valves, which is really exciting. Because, you know, like guitar players, you know, when you hear guitar players talk, because honestly, guitar players are a right set of knobheads, to be honest. And, you know, we talk about valves. we talk about switching out pots and, you know, really, really exciting stuff like that make girls just throw themselves at us. Right? Anyway, so the idea that you could switch out a valve just by pressing a button is awesome, because, you know, switching them out in a real amp is a pain in the arse. So here are the 3 valves, and you can select from a list of different valves here. And so we turn up the drive for that particular valve below. Now, before this first valve here, I've got this button called Full Grid, which gives an input boost into the valve. It's only a slight one, I believe, but I think the idea is that even if you've got a weak signal coming in, you can boost it up at least into the region where it's going to actually make the valve do something. One thing that you shouldn't overlook with this amp, the input gain is not just like a lot of apps where we're just kind of setting it so that we've got a nice level coming in. It works like a guitar amp. So if you increase the input gain, you increase the distortion, and that's how I got the lead tone I used for the introduction. Right, I'm going to leave it kind of set at 12 o'clock for now. Now, what happens with these valve stages is that this one feeds into this one. Actually, before I do that, let me just switch out the valve. So they do all sound subtly different. When you start to hear the difference when you're switching out valves, is more when you've got them feeding into each other. You'll see what I mean, right? So we've got that one driving, and we'll feed it into this one. And let me switch out this valve for an EL34, and we'll bring up the input gain a little, just so we're making that right. Okay, so there, now we're approaching the kind of sound I would probably use for a clean sound. I like my clean sound to be, it's a little bit dirty when you kind of really smash it. I'd probably have a little bit more input gain on that one. Right, but the beauty of that is you can back off and it cleans up. Something that a lot of, I'm going to sound like a right old fart now, but something that a lot of young guitar players miss out on, because these days young guitar players, their first ever practice amp does 1 million sounds at the press of a button, and you know, it's like preset city, and so they don't learn amplifiers like we did back in the day, you know, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Where we had just like, you've got a shit amp, and you might, you know, save up all your paper round money and get one shitty pedal. So you've got a guitar, one pedal, an amp, and you get a variety of sounds out of it by tweaking and fucking about until you exhaust everything that combination can do. So the adjustment of volume and tone on your guitar, and all the controls on the amp, and all the controls on the pedal, you learn them. Nowadays, and it's not, you know, it's not the kid's fault, it's just like, well, you know, I want to sound like Metallica today. Which song? For Whom the Bell Tolls. And you select the For Whom the Bell Tolls preset, and there you go. You're not learning fuck all. Sorry, mini rant there. Okay, so we back off and it cleans up. We dig in and it drives. I could clean up by turning my guitar down slightly and still hitting it hard. Okay, right, now, this tube here is feeding into this tube, which can now feed into this tube. Right, so if I crank this one, just watching my volume, don't blow your ears out. We do not pissy pants about, Mateus, that's right. And there is merchandise available for anyone who would like to purchase some kind of clothing or flask or whatever that says that don't pissy pants about. Down below. Right, now, here's a really, really cool thing. These two stages here, we can feed this tube into this tube, or we can make them both go to the output directly. So that's what the parallel button is for. Right, now we can also, we've got a full grid button here, which gives us another boost before that last tube stage. And these stages, by the way, if you know anything about guitar amps, right, if you know about guitar amps, you'll know what I mean by a Class A amp, a Class AB amp. These two are Class A. So, now, I'm not very good at explaining this, but basically a Class A amp is very, very good at reproducing the sound that is put into it. But it's not a very efficient amp. A Class B amp is a very efficient amp, which unfortunately tends to add overdriven artifacts at the end stage of the amp. So it's not the best amp for getting the tone that you want. That's a really bad explanation. A Class AB amp is a combination of both through some clever electronic wizardry to get the best of both worlds. So these are Class A, this is Class AB. Of course, in the digital realm, we don't really suffer. Okay, now there, we've got quite a driven tone. I just go over onto my neck pickup and just play a little. Right, we've got a nice little blues lead thing going on there. Which I'm tempted to just play with, but I'm not going to. What else have we got on this stage? We've got, so basically what you do is you pissy pants around with choosing out different valves and feeding different levels into each other, into each stage, and creating different amounts of drives with different kinds of harmonic distortion and overtones. I like that. We've got a phase button if you need to flip the phase. There's one control on this amp which I cannot adequately explain. We've got a block DC button. As I cannot adequately... Oh, I need that mouse now. As I cannot adequately explain it, I'm going to totally cheat. And I'm going to use the manual that comes with this app, because it's a brilliant manual. This app has obviously been made by a dude who knows an awful lot about this stuff, about valves and about the technology involved. Right, okay, here it is. Okay, block DC, high pass filter on. As a Class A tube amplifier treats the upper and lower half of a sine wave differently, some DC offset may occur. This filter will remove any DC offset. It is the equivalent of the analog output capacitor. Yeah, well, obviously this app was made by a person who is much brighter than I am, so there we go. I'm getting into that horror movie soundtrack territory. Now, I played a chord the other day by accident, and I thought, oh, it's an accidental chord. It was just, it's a bad chord, really, but I thought, oh, yeah, right, that could be, I could use that for my horror movie thing. Anyway, let's stay on topic. Right, what else have we got? We've got... What would be the sensible thing? Oh, so, of course, here we have an output gain, which I'm going to leave at 12 o'clock, but you can see what that does. Obviously, that speaks for itself. Notice, by the way, whilst I'm pissy-panting around with the amp, we've got a really good graphic representation down here of the input and output levels. So you can kind of keep a nice visual check on what is going on with that, so that you can... Because what I try and do, and it's hard, it's really hard with guitar stuff, but I try and make sure that my output level from, at the end of my chain of effects is more or less the same as the input stage, rather than boosting the volume up at the output stage. It just creates problems. So it's really nice to have that reference there. I should have mentioned while I was talking about the presets over here, we've got a bunch of factory presets. There's not tons, but there's enough to give you a nice little, a nice little starter into what it's capable of. We can save our own presets in here, and to do that, when you want to save a preset for the first time and name it, you can put a little comment in about it and put your own name in, say that you made it. You click add preset to do that, and we can save preset as we go along when you keep changing it, and save as default, which is a nice thing to have. You see, I've saved a couple of mine. I've actually made loads. I've only saved 2 of them. I must remember to do that. Right. We're not going into the advanced section yet. We'll just finish this overview here. So we've also got on this panel, we've got a brick wall limiter, which is a super nice thing to have. If the amp does clip, can I make it clip? Right, and that's going to be ridiculous of that. No, it doesn't seem to want to clip. But I can easily show you that in a bit. When I was piss-panting around with the drums, we made it clip easily. Right, we've got... Yeah, so I was going to say, if it does clip, you'll see it will light up here. And to remove that light, you can press it so that, obviously, if it clips again, you're going to see the light up again. Right, now we've got a high band filter. Now this is not something I would usually tend to use on a guitar, but you can hear how much fun you can have with that if you automated it. And if I just go here, you will see that a huge amount of parameters in this app are exposed, so you can really go to town on your automation here. Now, let's see if I can explain this well. I've set my filter, right, I've switched my filter on here, I've set it here. If I press listen, what we're hearing is the filtered audio applied to original signal. So not going through any of this stage or anything. So if I set it, yeah. think I explained that reasonably okay. Right, now, if I press this button here, if I turn this knob here, this will make the different I think it's these two stages of the... It will make them modulate each other. Right? Which can create some insane sounds, as you can hear. Double click returns the control to 12 o'clock. Right, now we've got a tube, a low pass filter for the tube here. And it seems to me like at both extremes it's basically off. Now, this is something that is kind of difficult to explain, but basically, if you know anything about guitar amps, you'll know about biasing. We can alter the biasing of this tube here with this control. Let me just switch off, just turn these two down. See, this amp is really very deep. I've not even got into the advanced controls yet. And you'll see what I mean. It's like if you want an app that deals with all this saturation stuff and you want to be able to go in real deep, you really want to be like a sound designer, like have all the tweaking possibilities imaginable. This is the app for that. Now, be honest, if you just want a saturator if you're the kind of person who just likes to have an app that, you've got a sound and you just want to throw an app on it, grab a preset, tweak a couple of things. If that's your approach, then this is not the app for you. I think Valve's by Audio thing is probably much more suitable. But if you're a tweaker, I'm not sure I should say that, but you know what I mean. This is for you. Right, now, have I covered everything on this panel? I'm going to put the biasing back round about there. I'm going to bring these up. I want that parallel on. I want lots of drive. Back it off a tiny bit, I think. I kind of like it like that. I'm not gonna... What I've found, honestly, is if you can work without the limiter and I just reminded myself. Right, I missed a button. Right, this is the constant level button. If I switch that off, you hear, right, just how loud this would be, because I've been cranking these gains here for these tubes. Now, obviously, that massively increases the output of the amp. So I've got this constant level button in. It's not really an amp. I suppose it is an amp, really. Yeah, it's like a sort of it more or less is an amp. I'm arguing with myself. Right, so the constant level button will keep things under control. Right? See what I mean? Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to leave it in because obviously I don't want to destroy your ears. But what I've found personally is, if you're really looking to get the best tone possible out of this software, if you can work without the constant level and limiter, and work within the confinements of how loud you can actually make it go, you will get a better tone out of it. I explained that really badly. I'm not going to attempt again because I don't think I can do any better. Right, so we're going to go into the advanced section. Now, here we've got some deeper controls. This is the auto gain. So we've got, on the front panel, we've just got buttons to give us auto gain, right? But here we can adjust exactly how the auto gain will behave. We can adjust the oversampling here. I'll just show you the options there. I'm not going to play with that. That's, that's something that speaks for itself. Now, we can adjust the limiter release time. We can create a stereo picture. To whatever degree. See you later, Scott Dude. Thanks for joining us, man. Always a pleasure. Right, now I'm going to leave that mono because it's a guitar, that's how I like it. Now, here's the thing. This is really, really interesting. If I add a filter here, then by adding that filter, then we've lost some frequencies. We've kind of chopped out some frequencies. But if I go to this control here, I can boost those frequencies that are cut out. Or I can cut them more. Now, I think that particular control is really fascinating. It actually gives you some incredible possibilities. Maybe not for a guitar, but for carving up the audio of samples and slightly more experimental instruments. I think that's great. I dig that. I think that's something a lot of people wouldn't think of adding to an app. Okay, now this is sidechaining stuff. I'm going to demonstrate that with a different instrument, and this is extra filter controls. Yes, I want to go to the keyboard for that. Right, put this guitar down. Okay, I'll just get a bit nearer to my keyboard. Alright, now, which shall I show you first? Right, let's do this keyboard. Come out of this one, scoot across. Right, here's the sound that I made for my piano. And if I go... Right, yeah, okay, here's what I should show you. This is how I've got my filter set, look. Right, now I'm going to show you why it's doing that. Go to advanced. Now. So here I can change the Q of the filter. Oh. Great note, Jamie. Marvelous. Right, so we can have a wide or narrow Q applied to our filter. And we can change the kind of filter we've got. Now we can change by how many dB does that filter boost or cut. So a more subtle setting. Let's go with a more drastic setting. Let's go back to bandpass. There we are. You hear it more effectively there. Right, to a subtle setting. Which actually, that's quite nice. Right, but why is it doing that thing? And why is it modulating like that? It's modulating like that because here, actually, I probably should have switched this off before I demonstrated it, really. I'll switch it off now. Okay, so I can point the LFO at various different bits of the app. Various different controls in the software, right? So I've found that the most effective place, to my taste, to send the LFO to is the band frequency, right? But let's just send it to drive 1, 2, and 3. And then I can play around. I can have a different waveform for the LFO, and then this is the depth of how much it's going to affect that parameter. There, I thought of a clever word. Parameter. And we can adjust the frequency that it's going to affect here. Now you can hear it is having an effect, but it's not. A different waveform might make it a little more obvious. Right? It's not the most drastic, most obvious sound. But yeah, that. It's quite fascinating what you can do with this app. The things that, to be honest, the things that I've done by accident have been awesome. Tube's low pass frequency. Oops. Right, so if I bring that there, and then we piss pants around with this, will that give us a... Yeah, okay. You could get some pretty cool stuff going on by just automating that, actually. There. Let's try that one. Yes. Okay, and you could, this can like just, this LFO can run free, or you can set it to sync to the bar in your door, you know, over 4 bars, 3 bars, 2 bars, 1 bar, etc., etc. I guess to do that I'd have to have the transport playing, wouldn't I? So if I had the piano soloed maybe, and then press play, let's see if we can hear that. This would be more effective demonstration on an instrument that's more sustained to it, I believe. There. Okay, so on the shorter times you can hear that. Let's go to an 8th note. Right, okay, so we can hear that modulating very clearly. Nice, and if we try a different waveform, there. Right, so... Wow, I didn't know it could do that. That's really, really awesome. Alright, so the way I had it set was I sent the LFO to the band frequency. So that's the filter band frequency. And I had the depth of fall, and the frequency was somewhere around there actually. And it was set to 3. And I used this waveform, not that waveform. That one. No, I didn't. For the piano, I used this one. That's right. See, to me, that kind of overdrive sound there that you're hearing as the chord starts to decay away, that's a really, really pleasing overdrive, a really pleasing degree of saturation. So you're hearing the initial chord nice and clearly, but for it to affect the tail like that, it sounds to me, it just sounds so much like using, real old-fashioned, extremely heavy, valve-filled metal, oversized gear. Yeah, it was a great explanation, Jamie. Well done. All right, so that's that. And as you've just seen, just pissy-panting around with that and kind of vaguely knowing what you're doing, it can create some really, really cool sounds. So this is not an app that's like just aimed at guitar. It's not just for like old school tone. It really is a very, very interesting creative tool for like sound design and stuff, he said intelligently. Now we need to have a look at this. So if I just go over to my... I soloed that, didn't I? Let's unsolo the piano. Oh! And of course the transport is playing. Duh. Now... Right, yes, it was Tal. Okay, so Tal is being affected by this sidechain. So I'll just show you how that is set up in here, in advanced. So for my sidechain here, if you're not using the sidechain, you just have it set to off here. Now you can have the sidechain coming in just affecting one of the drive sections, 1, 2 or 3. I decided to apply it to all 3 sections, and then you can make it either increase the distortion or duck the distortion. I've got it set to duck, and then you can control the depth and release times, right? So let's just have a arse around with it. We'll just explain it in full first. So we've got Sidekick here playing. In fact, let's just have a listen to Sidekick, shall we? So because just for demonstration purposes, right? So there's what Sidekick's doing, but we're not hearing Sidekick. It's muted. We just want those pulses. We just solo Tal. Right. So Sidekick makes those 4 pulses, and then the multi-output instance of Woodvalvet sends that like pulse information to the instance of Woodvalvet that is affecting Tal. Sometimes I get asked about sidechaining quite regularly. Sometimes people find it a little bit difficult to know which way round to set this up, right? So you have to think of it like this. You have to decide which instrument are you wanting the effect to be applied to, and that's where you put a normal instance of the effect. Then you decide where is that input signal coming from that's going to make it do the effect or make it not do the effect. And then you put the multi-output bus instance below that instrument, which is what's going on here. Okay, so those pulses are coming into Woodvalvet here and making Tal do this crazy thing. Let's just remove that again. So that's Tal unaffected. Just turn it up a little bit while I'm on this instrument. Okay. My apologies. I kind of got really, like involved in in demonstrating. I've been ignoring the chat, so let's have a quick look. Not Class D. Oh, you don't like Class D amps, Semtex? Well, I'm actually using a Class D bass amp live now. It's a 600 watt Hartkey. It's a TX 600, and my opinion on Class D is they're really light, and and I'm getting older. The amplifier, my main amp that I was using before I got that one, I like slightly better. It was an LH500 by Hartkey, and honestly, the TX600 is incredibly close. It really is. It's what I find with it is, though, when you really need high volume, the LH500, it's you could feel the power. Not so much with the 600. It's got the volume. It feels like it doesn't quite shift as much air. But considering that it's like I can pick it up with my little finger, and it does all that, I am happy with it. Now, in an ideal world, I'd have a road crew that were carrying all my equipment about, and I'd use the LH500. So the difference is not massive, and I'm happy with the sound I get with it. So that's where I'm at with it. A slight compromise due to age and not wanting to destroy another car by putting too much heavy gear in it, as I've done many times in the past. That's where I'm at with Class D. But yes, it is the devil's work. There's no denying that. No bad chords. It sounded like something Jeff Hanneman would play. Jeff Hanneman, are you a Tesla fan, dude? Dude, awesome. Gotta go. I read that. I read that earlier. Okay, yes. So, filter pinging never gets old. It does not. No. Filtering is fun. There's a T-shirt in there somewhere. This work okay with bass, dude? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you're wanting to apply some harmonic sort of overdrive to the bass, and get that sort of like warm and fuzzy tone going on, it works really well. I really enjoyed it actually with bass. Okay, speakers, square waves. It screams no to everything. Hang on, it's driving speakers with square waves. It screams no to everything I learned. yeah. But that's good though, isn't it? Turn everything on your head. Do everything that you shouldn't do. Let's break all the rules and see what dreadful sounds we can make, and somewhere in amongst all those dreadful sounds, we might make something utterly awesome, and we might go to number one. And I might buy a gold Porsche and get a coffee machine in my studio. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking bollocks again. Right, so I was demonstrating this app, weren't I? Right, let's get back to that. So, so this is the towel with Woodvalvet. Not there, right? I'm going to stick it back on with the setting I used for the tune in the introduction. Now, let's change it for some of the other options that we can use. Instead of ducking, let's increase. It's like the reverse of that picture. We've just slipped into the upside down, is what we've done. Right, okay, now let me show you what happens when we change the depth. Right, but the most important control in this section is the release. I've made a wet fart sound again. Now, if we... Jade, you are utterly filthy. Isn't that just awesome? Honestly, I could sit here all day and pissy pants around with this. This is just great. Let's apply it to just one drive section. Right, and a different one. Right, make it duck now. Reverse picture again. It's magic. It's magic. Now you'll see I've also got the LFO going on in this instance of the app as well. So let me just change a couple of things with that. Can you hear that? It's really quiet in the background, but it sounds great. How do I make that louder? I'm not sure I can actually. There. Wow. That's just immense. It's just... When you were talking about things that got dirtier, the harder you hit them, I bit my lip. I'm very mature of you, sir. That app is only $14-ish. If I had a Mac, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, you don't use iOS, do you, DJ? Yeah. Isn't it cool, that, Matthias? It's like, that's awesome. Now, let me just come over here. And I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to switch off the reverb in Tal. And I'm going to add the audio kit reverb here. The other thing I really like about the audio kit reverb is it's right at the top of my list of apps. Because it's an A. All right. Okay. I can't resist it. I'm going to switch this Woodvalve tube out for a more aggressive one. Wow. That was not something I expected, right? But that just shows you, right? Okay, so when I said I was going to do a demo of this app, stop twatting the camera, you stupid hippie. It was actually brought about because in the Audiobus forum, which I don't use an awful lot because there are some people there who are just quite dreadful, but I was there, and they were talking about Audio Things valves that had been released, and people were comparing that to this, and this one guy, and I'd just got valves, and this one guy said, I can't remember who it was actually. I hope it's no one here because that would seem incredibly rude. But this person said they would like to know what I know it was. I think it was Gavinsky. Who said it. Like to know what like a guitar tone head like myself would think to it, and he tagged me in it. And I just said, well, I'm sorry, I ain't got that app. So the developer just got in touch with me straight away, and he sent me a code. And I said, okay. And people were asking me to do a video where I compared the two. And I thought about that, but I decided not to do that because I think they both really, really have their place. And they're not really the same thing exactly. They're kind of in the same territory. But Valves does sound awesome. It's a really, really good app. It's much, much simpler to use. This is a different thing. This is like I say, this is for people who like to deep dive and really tweak, really get into the intimate details of saturation, distortion, and also I think, as I've shown, if you're really into sound design and you like really arsing around with things, pissy panting about until you come up with something really new and exciting and mad and interesting, this is one of those apps that you should have. Okay, so I think I've shown everything. I clearly haven't shown every sound that it can make, but I think I've shown you how it works and what it does and stuff. So I'm going to save that preset because that's mental. If I had to try and think of a criticism about this app, I would say it could do with some more presets in it that cover a more versatile range of things. And that's it. I can't really find any other flaw with it. I haven't had it crash or glitch. I've had no problems with it at all. And as you've seen, I've got 10 instances of it open in AUM at the moment. The most that my DSP has gone up to in this project has been around the 40% mark. And to say how many instances I've got of the Audio Kit Reverb and of Woodvalvet, I don't think that's bad at all, because I am using a couple of apps that are a little bit heavy on DSP. So, yes, play with the knobs. That should be a t-shirt too. And a cap, and a mug, and a flask. You see, I know how to merchandise stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. When you know what you're doing, some lazy millennials would just download your presets from Patreon. But you're very welcome to do, Mateus, and I really, really appreciate your support over at Patreon. It's nice to have some patrons. It's also particularly nice to have some that that interact, that get involved, that comment on the posts and watch the streams and stuff, And for anyone who's not a patron as of yet, I am doing a weekly Patreon only stream, like a sort of a secret stream. And the way I'm approaching that is every Monday lunchtime UK time, I just kind of get myself a coffee and I sit down to do some mixing or working on some project that I'm working on, and I just live stream it. And any of the patrons who want to join in that stream and just have a chat, if they want to ask questions, I might get completely sidetracked. We might end up talking about something completely irrelevant. It's just a nice Monday morning with coffee. We have a chat, and just some friends hanging out. And also at my Patreon, there's quite a lot of samples. There's a lot of presets, and the idea of my Patreon is that you can ask for anything that I can help you with. So if you want to ask something about music theory, if you want to ask about how to play a particular song on the guitar, if you want me to demonstrate some software, talk about the mixing process. So, quite a few people have asked me for stuff about compression. That's coming this next week. And it was Grant, I believe, who asked me if I could do something on Patreon to demonstrate how the tapping technique is done on guitar, bass, guitar. I'll do both. I'll cover it, So, it's basically, my Patreon is about, tell me what you want, and I'll do it, right? So, if you, maybe fancy signing up, that would be cool. And if you'd like to help out the channel in any other way, all the info is down below the video, and so is the super chat button down at the bottom. Right, so, anything interesting in the chat before I sign off and go get some food? Oh, the developers arrived. Woodman's Immaculate Maple Syrup Studio. There are a few more presets if you click Copy Factory Presets. Right, I didn't press that button. I didn't actually know what that button did, so I didn't mention it. But there we go, right? The developers arrived and told you what that button does. So, I could send you my presets. I'm actually going to go through this project now and save all the presets that I've made. So if you want those, I could send them to you quite gladly. DJ says, I used to program DX7's. Deep diving is in my blood. Yeah, I know that pain. Love your Patreon streams, Jamie. Thank you, Mick. Ed's here. Hi there, Jamie, Matt. Something. Hi, dude. You're a bit late. You've sort of arrived just in time to say goodbye. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we can set up presets in Jamie's treasure box. Thank you, Mateus. There are a lot of presets available on my Patreon, and some people really appreciate that. Some people, I think, to some extent, some people can make their own presets but don't feel confident in doing so, and are kind of convinced that other people's presets must be better. And I'm very happy to provide them. I'm also very happy to teach you how to do it. I think the most important thing that people need to learn about presets or getting tone on an amplifier or mixing or anything is that you have to learn to trust your ears. Trust your ears. Just listen. Does it sound good? Yes. Well, then it's great. Can it be better? Maybe. Maybe. Tweak around some more. If it doesn't sound as good, go back to the preset that you remembered to save. There. Jamie's amazing. I feel embarrassed reading that out, Jade. I reach out to him for advice on everything from home remedies to gardening tips. You tosser. I'm going to track down the hairy claw after... Oh, right, yes. I was talking about that earlier, and I may have got sidetracked before I finished talking about it, because that's what I do. If you search the hairy claw of Grafton Moor on YouTube, you may find little bits of YouTube promo on there about it that was supposed to help get the film released, and the music that I made for it was on YouTube at one point. I didn't put it on, but I believe that they did put it on with some of the animation from the movie. So have a search, see if you can find it. I haven't looked at it for a long time. Okay, Semtex is going to buy the app. Marvellous. Okay, right. So I'm going to bugger off now because I'm starving. I need to eat. Semtex says, Jade, do you know if AUM is going on offer soon? I don't know, but then you're not asking me, so why am I even getting involved in that? AUM is amazing. It's so amazing. There is just the possibilities of AUM. Another thing that keeps me awake at night is I'll have an idea. Oh, I wonder if I could make AUM do. Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking through the process in my head, like, and then I get in here and I see if I can make AUM do some crazy thing that I thought of, and usually the answer is yes. Thanks, Jamie, for the extended demo, and thanks everyone for watching and buying my app. It's been my absolute pleasure. I was saying earlier on, I guess you didn't catch the beginning of the stream, but I was saying earlier on, I am moving away from doing like my streams and my videos about just it's not going to be like I just demo an app. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I will want to. Sometimes there'll be an app like this where I think, yeah, I really want to do a demo of that. But my streams are going to become more about the music making process. I'm going to be making music and sharing that experience along the way, giving advice, showing how I do stuff, making mistakes, and I will be showing the software as I go along. That's where I'm going with this channel. But this one, I really just had to do this. Okay, right, I'm going to clear off now. So thank you ever so much, everyone, for being here. I've really enjoyed the stream. It's nice to have some friends in the chat. So until next time, be good people. Be kind and look after the planet. Eat lots of pie, make lots of music, and try extremely hard not to piss your pants about. I'll see you all later. Take care.